Hello! School children of Azerbaijan British College have received the highest grades in the Cambridge examinations. What is the behind this success? We will talk about this with Principal Sigve Austheim. Hello, Mr. Austheim. We're glad to see you in our studio. And my first question is, what kind of examinations were they and what disciplines they did examine cover?
Well, the exam results that came out now were from physics, chemistry and biology. And yes, our students did extremely well. I believe we had overall on these exams 95% of the results were A or A star and 5% B, but no grades lower than B. But a 95% A and A star, I don't think there are many schools anywhere in the world that could improve on that. So that will put us up there with the top performing schools. Either you talk about private schools in the UK or international schools anywhere.
Wow. Azerbaijan British School has been operating for 5 years and is already widely recognized among secondary schools. What is the formula of that success?
Well, I think first and foremost, it's necessary to have a shared vision for how the school should develop. And I then mean a shared vision amongst the teachers and also the management and the board of the school. And I think we have achieved that. And I think then it's necessary to have a focus on which tasks are important at any one time and not to try to do too much in too short a time. And I think we've been very good at narrowing down the important tasks that we need to achieve year by year. And once that is in place, I think it's mainly down to hard work.
What is the vision of school? You said that before.
Well, we want to become the preferred choice for parents and students in Baku and the surrounding area. So our vision is really that we want parents to choose ABC as their school or their preferred choice.
So this is going to be a precise differences, your differentiation between other schools you are in the market, if I can say that.
Well, there are probably many aspects that will distinguish us from our competitors, but I think what I've laid down now is or are amongst the most important, at least for now. And then
what is the structure of education system that Azerbaijan British College is based on?
Well, we are a British school, so that means we follow the national curriculum of England and Wales. However, there is very often a misunderstanding there. So the British education system as such is not necessarily all that different from other countries. Mm-hmm. But they provide a curriculum for us that we have to follow. The curriculum is in English, and then it's down to each school how you want to teach that curriculum. And I think that's where the main differences are. So the methodology that each school chooses when they teach. Having said that, inherent in the British system is also more of a focus on the practical side of education, creative, logical thinking, and not only this, say, more traditional focus on the dissemination of knowledge.
For me, it's very interesting. You said that you pay a lot of attention to the practical knowledges. What are the where all these theoretical knowledges meets with practical knowledges in your school?
I think it's important that students understand how they're going to apply their knowledge. So one way of doing this is to try to make the education as practical as possible in terms of working with realistic projects, real-life projects, perhaps also say a cross-curricular approach, which means that the students might do a project at school that takes several weeks, where you include several several subjects. You might include geography and history together with English and science, and where they work with in, say, real-life projects.
As you said that you are trying to meet theoretical knowledges with practical ones, it requires also from teachers to be very creative. And here is my question. How do you raise that level of creativity, and what is the teacher's approach in your school?
Well, obviously I think teachers are, of course, they're individual and they do have different approaches. In our school we do have an educational philosophy that we have developed, and it is important then to make that come across to all the teachers and have, say, internal in-house training of teachers in this methodology, and gradually introduce this little by little. In addition to that, we have also initiated a project where we send a lot of our Azerbaijani teachers to the UK. So we're sending them to the University of Nottingham to do a postgraduate certificate of education in order for them to be better equipped to teach the British curriculum, which is relatively practically focused.
So you are gaining very few moments when traveling, as people say, traveling and education is what you would never forget about, never regret about it. So you are teaching your teachers as well as sending them as part of traveling. They can grab new knowledges and epitomize them to the kids. To the kids. In percentage, how many percentage in school teachers from abroad comparing to teachers locals?
Well, say roughly we have a 50-50 share between local teachers and expats. Say in our primary school we have the Azerbaijani teachers will teach 50% of the subjects. Well, not 50% of the subjects, but 50% of the lessons, and then expat teachers will do the other 50%. In addition to that, we have local assistants in each class. In secondary, it depends more on the subjects. But curiously enough, the results that we got now from Cambridge, the results by the Azerbaijani teachers are as good as the expats, if not better.
That's a very good number, 50-50, it's a very good number. But let me get back to the creativity. What do you do to make kids creative? Because we know that the modern world requires a lot of creativity, because the modern world, especially technologies, and right now they require to be as much as possible to be creative. So what do you do, what kind of classes you are conducting, or in what way to make kids very creative?
I think every human being has a creative ability, so I think it's more about encouraging them to find their own creativity rather than actually teach them specific creative skills. There are also some subjects that are creative in themselves that we then use and link them with other subjects, like say subjects like computing, art and design, design and technology. These subjects can easily be connected with mathematics and sciences, and we encourage investigation. We challenge the students, and in that process they do find their creative abilities. And we have, for instance, a science fair every autumn in our school, where we really see how creative our children are.
All school kids are so different. How much emphasis do you place on the individual approach to every child? Because schools, it's a system, and everybody has to be subordinated to the system. What kind of approaches do you have in your school?
Well, again, I think that is part of our success, that we have focused very much on an individual approach, especially in these year groups where we have had the Cambridge exams. And the results are based on that. So what we what we, for instance, do, we test the students rather frequently, and then we analyze the results, and we see clearly then which are the weak and strong areas of each child. And as a principal, I know exactly how the students perform, and we can then tailor our approach to cover those weaknesses, and if necessary we take students out of class and work with them even individually to achieve better results. And we also have a special education needs coordinator in the school that also helps develop plans and support the students.
A sound mind in a sound body. We know that harmony in between those very important trunks, if I would say that, is very important. How much attention do you pay for the physical condition development?
Well, you're absolutely correct in that. Research has also clearly shown that students who are fit are performing better academically. I think it's fair to say that we have three pillars of our education. One is the academic part, the other one is the emotional development of the children, and then the physical part. We have very good facilities for sports in the school. We have a large indoor swimming pool, indoor sports hall with full international measurements, and as well outside. So we have physical education several hours every week, and in addition to that we also offer after-school clubs and encourage children to participate in physical education. Now, personally, I would like to see more of this in Azerbaijan, so I hope we can contribute to a change in that area.
I know that in other countries many schools compete with each other by sending kids to each direction to compete in sports, in science and different. Do you have that in your school?
Well, we started last year sending students to compete in science Olympiads. The first one was in Turkey. The oldest students we had at that time, they were in year 10, and they were competing against students from all over the world, 3 or 4 years older than them. And they achieved a silver medal in Turkey. And this year we also sent a student to participate in the Olympiad, in the Genius one in New York, and he came back with a gold medal. So I think we've done fairly well there, and this is something we have decided to focus even more on. So we will start preparing the students from an earlier age on, and not only say sort of an ad hoc approach that we've had the first couple of years.
There are some differences you can see from kids here, students here, and students from north part of the Europe, from America or other countries you have been working with. What kind of difference you see between local kids and kids abroad?
Well, there are many differences. Yes, well, if we look at, say, a subject like mathematics, when we test children here, they are clearly much better at arithmetics than logical, practical mathematics. They clearly score better there, so they're way above Western Europe in the arithmetics part, but behind in how to apply that knowledge for real life. So their practical skills still needs to be developed.
Why do you think it's that local kids are very skillful at math, arts idiosyncrasy, as you said?
Well, I think probably throughout history here there has been a very strong focus on sciences and maths, and I can say if I look at physics and chemistry also, they are very talented here, but say to succeed in life they need to have a more practical approach. They need to learn that practical part. I think the education system here over the years has been very traditional, and in most other countries they're changing that, and it happens here as well, and that's something that Azerbaijan needs to focus on. What I can also add here is that the motivation of the students, the behavior of the students here compared with Western Europe is much better. And I would also say that the involvement of the parents here is much stronger than in Western Europe, which gives these children here a lot of opportunities. And luckily, Azerbaijan pays a lot of attention to the value of education, more so than in Western Europe.
It is well known that sometimes kids are reluctant to go to school. What do you do to address this rather difficult question?
Well, actually, that has not been a problem. We have children who cry when they go on summer holiday because they don't want to leave the school. And curiously enough, I'll give you one example. Last year, when we started to focus more on these Cambridge exams, we had lessons on Saturdays often. And the first Saturday I came to the school, and the children were having the first day at school on Saturday. They were all sitting in the reception, and they were all very excited. And I asked them what is happening, and they're telling me they were excited. And I said, for what? And they're saying it's the first Saturday at school, and I think that's just fantastic. And when it was 5 o'clock and it was time to go home, they said, "No, is it 5 already? We don't want to go home." And when the exams were over and we stopped teaching on Saturdays, they missed that. They actually missed it.
So here is another question. I will say, what do you do to make kids happy at school, that they would enjoy the process and they don't want to go home?
I will quote one of the teachers, actually the year 6 teacher, who said last year, and I think she's correct. She said that we've been able to create a culture of learning in the school. Now, what do I mean by that? Or what did she mean by that? I think that is the management of the school is involved in this and motivated. The teachers have a drive. They want the students to succeed because it's good for the teachers, it's good for the school, and it's good for the students. And when you have teachers who are that committed to what they do, that rubs off on the children, and they see that the teachers are there for them. And we have created a very healthy competition also within the class, where we don't look necessarily at who has the best score or the best grade, but we look more at who has had the best progress over the last couple of weeks. And this is what we try to compare, who is improving the most. And luckily we've managed to involve all children in this.
So you managed to make school home for teachers, for staff?
I think that is a fair statement, yes.
What kind of diploma do the children receive upon graduation, and who are your graduates?
Well, when they finish their secondary education, which is, say, the first real diploma they get, this diploma is from Cambridge International Examination. So CIE is one of these international exam boards, and it's owned and operated by the University of Cambridge. So we receive the examinations, we keep them locked in a room, open them on the day of the examination in front of the children. They do the exam, we collect them, seal them, and send them back to Cambridge. They will then correct the exams and grade the students, and the students will get the certificates from the University of Cambridge.
New employees will start working at Azerbaijan British College this year. What are your expectations from the new employees?
Well, I will have the same expectations to them as I have to the others. I am mainly concerned with results and what we achieve, and I think honestly, if I can refer to the culture of learning that we have managed to establish in the school, I think once the new teachers come into the school, they will automatically be say greeted by the other teachers, and they will get into the way things.
We know that the head of the secondary school is newly being appointed. So, what is your expectations in this regard?
Well, I think she has a lot of the same views on education as I have myself, and I think honestly, if we have a shared vision, then the rest is down to hard work, and I know she's a hard worker.
In your opinion, what would you describe as the biggest success of your school? That's my last question.
Yes, well, I would say, if I summarize that, I would say that we have been able to create a culture of learning in the school. That is the greatest success, and all the successes of the school derives from there.
Mr. Austheim, it was my pleasure to have you in our studio and have that comprehensive replies.
Thank you very much. My pleasure.
Today we talk about the formula of success for the Azerbaijan British College with Principal Sigve Austheim. See you next time.